because, you know, we leave a lot of space for our youth in our own teams to actually come up with these great ideas. I didn't come up with this, they did. So before I leave, I still want us to remember something a little bit more difficult. 6 months ago, most of you, I think at some point, were sent home in lockdown. I want you to remember that really horrible feeling. I want you to remember forever that feeling of being isolated, disconnected, powerless somehow. The hope that you had home, that your governments would be there, that the government would be doing the right thing to save the country, really, against this pandemic threats, to save your loved ones. So right then and there, on an individual basis, we all understood the importance of trust in our government. And we actually know the ingredient of trust and of government efficiency. It is transparency, accountability, participation. We know that open government can make things better, and that the Open Government Partnership has been there to try to do this for years now, because it is about using our collective brains and hearts to improve the world around us. It's a partnership. We need to be part of this partnership. So I hope that you will participate to this partnership, to this youth collective, to this digital summit with all that you have in you, that you dare to get out and be innovative and creative and share your thoughts and ideas with your governments also, not just amongst yourself, because you are the future and we need you. If there's anything that this pandemic has shown us, is that we need to have everyone around the table. We all need to work together to tackle this crisis, to plan a recovery and build back better. So my congratulations to the Youth Collective, the OGP, and the Accountability Lab, and all the partners. And I really hope you have an extremely nice summit, and I can't wait to hear what you come up with. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Melanie. And it is amazing to hear how taking that small chance, or taking that small step to ensure youths were prominent and included in the OGP Global Summit in Canada has now led to the formation of the Youth Collective, the first ever Youth Collective Digital Summit. And this movement of young people in open governance continues to grow because of that step that you took. And so we really appreciate all of the support Canada provides to the open government movement globally, and look forward to including more diverse voices from Canada throughout the next few days. Now, I believe at the beginning, we asked everyone to share what they were most excited about or looking forward to for the digital summit and on Minty. And I think we're going to be sharing some of those responses right now from those of you that are joining us to really share what you're looking forward to.
So please find the infos for you to share your ideas right in the screen. You can go to menti.com via any browser, either on your phone or on your laptops, and use the password 7009747. We're going to put that also in the chat for you to be able to access it easily. And we are very much looking forward to knowing which sessions are you most looking forward to, how are you feeling with the summit coming up and starting right in a few minutes, let's say. Who are the speakers you are most looking forward to? So please let us know your thoughts and let us know your ideas. That being said, the summit would not have been possible without the support of the government of Korea, the co-chairs of the Open Government Partnership for 2020 and 2021. Now I would like to hand over to Junny Kim of the government of Korea for a welcome message.
Hello, I'm Audrey Tang. I'm really happy to be here virtually to share some lessons that we learned from our COVID-19 response about trusting citizens. Infectious diseases originate from the large-scale group living of human beings. Ironically, though, a pandemic not only endangers public health, but also destroys the foundation of society, trust. Since ancient times, the way to fight infectious disease has been to increase interpersonal distance, closing down of countries, locking down cities, stopping gatherings, and so on. An increase in distrust seems inevitable, and some groups are even eager to blame the disease on others, whether they are of a different race, different nationality, or different belief. This tendency has prevailed from the Black Death of medieval Europe to the COVID-19 of today. During the fight against the pandemic in 2020, however, Taiwan has used our open government model, the Taiwan model, to successfully prevent the landslide effect of distrust. At the onset of the pandemic, masks and other personal protective equipment quickly fell into a supply and demand imbalance. The government, to restore the balance, adopted a real name rationing system in a timely fashion to guarantee fair distribution. But selling masks was not enough. Preventative measures against the disease would be effective only if the majority of people were willing to properly wear the medical mask to cover their faces and have good hand sanitation practices. So who would implement this plan? Well, we have over 6,000 pharmacists, each having not only knowledge, but also engagement in their communities, trusted by their neighborhoods. They seem the best candidates for messenger, sending the public the ideas of trustworthiness in an approachable way. Yet, not everything could be achieved simply by the public trusting the pharmacists as messengers. For pharmacists, executing the mask initiative would be an extra chore that could affect their usual drug dispensing business. But the Central Epidemic Command Center, or the CECC, did not issue orders forcing pharmacies to comply. Instead, we designed the mask rationing system based on the experience of retrieving medications with refillable prescriptions for chronic disease, flattening the learning curve for everyone involved. It also allowed pharmacists to come up with various social innovations, such as limited hour sales, such as take-a-number systems to reduce waiting times for the public. With such incentives and innovations, pharmacists integrated further with the civic technology communities. They improve automated processes and help people save their time. The government reciprocated with complete trust in the cooperation. We continuously improve the data structures of the National Health Insurance Administration with weekly iterations in the API, forming a virtuous cycle. In other words, when the government was willing to understand the needs of pharmacists and provide space for mutual participation, the two complemented each other to win back more social trust. Only then did the pandemic fighting national team lineup grow stronger. There have also been a case where a worker in an intimate drinking bar were diagnosed with COVID-19. In spaces like that, both guests and employees, of course, are very sensitive to privacy. However, in terms of pandemic prevention, failing to provide reliable contact details for tracking would lead to significant social vulnerabilities. However, the government did not invoke sanctions or order the pubs and nightclubs to close down if they refuse to collaborate. Such measures actually could reinforce the stigma society attaches already to such workers. And it could cause business to go underground as in the Prohibition era in the US. So those situations, if enforced in a lockdown, top-down, shutdown fashion, it will only make the spread of the pandemic even more unpredictable. Fortunately, experts at the CECC has extensive prior experience with HIV-positive communities, and they developed together with the community a practical real contact system. That's to say, as long as people could be effectively contacted, no real names registrations were necessary. And the CECC also clearly explained the scientific crux. Social distancing must be maintained, and the droplet infections must be avoided. As long as those businesses could achieve these scientific demands, they could remain open. So instead of shutting down any nightclubs or any intimate drinking bars, what the CECC did is to incentivize social innovation, and indeed they innovated. As a result, business developed creative approaches such as leaving code names, single-use emails, and prepaid mobile phone numbers, or provides hats with plastic shields to maintain physical distance. When even the nightclubs and drinking bars could join the fight, the prevention effort garnered even more social trustworthiness. Around the world, the pandemic has also brought severe challenges to national governance. Countries have adopted isolation measures such as national citywide lockdowns, schools suspended, and business closed. It turned many countries and cities into lonely islands, such as described as in the novel The Lord of the Flies. Being isolated from the world brings political pressure. Although leaders may have been elected democratically, democracy is still rooted in competition between political parties, and this gives rise to escalating opposition and conflict. Every person sees a beast projected from their own mind. Unquestionably, the easiest casualties are science and reason. And just like the novel Lord of the Flies describes, and I quote, "They walked alone, 2 continents of experience and feelings, unable to communicate," unquote. As the pandemic spreads, these drama continue to play out. Despite not imposing citywide lockdown measures, Taiwan still cannot be considered a utopia. This truth is especially apparent in Taiwan's international activity. Being inappropriately overlooked and blockaded has created domestic pressure. Even without a pandemic, there has always been a lot of fighting among the political parties. Epidemic prevention only makes it more likely that the fighting could worsen. But right before the fiercely contested election this January, one survey showed that, regardless of their political leanings, the public had a high degree of recognition for the deepening of democracy and for international collaboration. It was like a kindled fire, radiating warmth in a world filled with wind and snow. So when legislator Gao Hong'an, the MP, she once served as the vice president of data analytics at Foxconn. When she cited the data from the Jiuping'an mask map, OpenStreetMap community, pointing out the difference between supply and demand in different regions that cause unfair distribution of masks and requested an adjustment, Minister Chen Shizhong of Health and Welfare did not defend the existing policy at all. Instead, he simply said, and I quote, "Legislator, teach us all," unquote. And so we co-created and revised the algorithm the very next day. So this reminds me of a Buddhist saying, and I quote, "A 1,000-year-old dark room can be illuminated by a single lantern," unquote. Whether the darkness can be broken depends on whether more people are willing to light and pass on the lanterns. So while I do not naively believe that the world will magically become a better place as long as everyone has good intentions, nevertheless, digital innovation is very important because on the internet, we don't have to maintain social distancing, and more importantly, digital spaces allow all footprints of kindness to remain. Everyone can have a voice and a part to play. The mask map is a great example. When the National Health Insurance Administration posted real-time information on the availability of masks at pharmacies on the National Open Data Platform, refreshed every 30 seconds, well, in less than a week, over 100 apps were developed by various groups to channel this information through chatbots, voice assistants, maps, analytics, and so on. It is just like establishing a distributed ledger with more than 100 nodes. And as time passes and people continue to contribute in this way, trust will continue to accumulate. In the digital world, distance does not separate friends. The pandemic may have temporarily isolated us from our loved ones, but in many ways, the digital space has brought us even closer. If people want to support and boost this movement, the trust of governments to its citizens is very important. Everyone's business, everyone helps. The governments around the world can start with one simple principle: trust the citizens more. Thank you for listening.
So to everyone joining us for the opening ceremony, the video that we just watched was actually a video of Audrey Tang, the Minister of Information of Taiwan, and not initially Junny Kim of the government of Korea, as we made mention of. But of course, this is the first time ever that we are hosting a digital summit, so there will be technical difficulties here and there. But of course, we're happy that you are still here with us for the opening ceremony. And it's very interesting to note the approaches that Taiwan took in terms of addressing the global pandemic, incentivizing social innovations to ensure that businesses were able to continue to function and come up with innovative ways to address the pandemic within their country. And also, an important point about how more than ever, the digital space has brought us together. Looking at how, for the first time ever, we are having this digital summit with over 700 young people from around the world registered to participate. And so we thank Minister Tang for the amazing work that is continued to be done, and as a young leader within open government, ensuring people-powered pandemic response and recovery. And I think now, if I'm not wrong, we'll be going to the video of Junny Kim. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chaimae.
That is exactly what we're going to do next. So if we can please share the video of Kim, the Minister Kim.
Hello, everyone. This is a great pleasure for me to join the first Open Government Digital Youth Summit with global young leaders. I'd like to thank the OGP Support Unit, Accountability Lab, and Restless Development for organizing this meaningful event and engaging with young people around the world to make the response to COVID-19 more accountable and inclusive, and to build a better world in the post-pandemic era. The Republic of Korea began to serve as the 11th co-chair of the Open Government Partnership in a critical moment, more than any time in recent history. I appreciate the international community for estimating Korea's constant efforts to deepen democracy and promote open and accountable government. At this challenging time, Korea as co-chair of OGP has a greater responsibility and a larger role to play to further disseminate open government values as the most potent and effective means to respond to the pandemic. In this vein, Korea and civil society co-chair Maria Boron will focus on 3 priorities during our term. First of all, we commit to strengthen civic space and democratic participation in order to ensure civic freedoms and access to information, particularly when it is challenging to keep the same level of engagement during the crisis. Secondly, we will work toward tackling corruption by supporting members to enhance transparency and strengthen ethics practices in government. Thirdly, we will promote digital innovation, which has enormous potential to improve public services. As co-chair, we will support members to maximize the potential of digital technologies and narrow down digital divides so that everyone can benefit from digital innovation. My fellow young leaders, in achieving our goals, new and innovative ideas from the young generation can bring fresh energy and make a unique contribution. Recognizing such meaningful input from youth, the Korea government involved a youth working group to its OGP multi-stakeholder forum to develop national action plans. Our discussion was enriched with their balanced perspectives and wholehearted support for the forum. Moving forward, Korea would like to further engage young people in our efforts to promote our co-chair priorities as ambassadors of open government. You are creative, tech-savvy, and more interconnected with one another than any previous young generations. In this regard, I'd like to encourage youth to widely spread out our visions using various online and offline channels so that like-minded young leaders in every corner of the world can take part in this effort and shape a better future with us together. As co-chair, Korea will also provide opportunities for young people to build global networks and share ideas on various global fora. The 2021 OGP Leaders Summit, which will be held in Korea, will be one of the opportunities. My dear young friends, Young people can also play an important role in leading the way against COVID-19. Many countries across the world are still grappling with unprecedented challenges and suffering untold damage from the pandemic. In fact, Korea was one of the earliest countries affected by pandemic and experienced an alarming rate of new infections earlier this year. However, Korea was able to successfully flatten the curve based on open government principles of transparency and public-private partnership alongside digital technologies. Among those at the forefront of tackling the crisis were young people. For example, an application like Corona Map, developed by a college student, has contributed to controlling the spread of the virus by ensuring easier access to information. Korea is willing to assist other countries by sharing such best practices and lessons learned, because the fundamental principles we followed in dealing with the pandemic can be applicable everywhere. At the same time, as co-chair of OGP, Korea will expand capacity building opportunities for OGP members. I strongly believe that the youth can be an important driving force in this endeavor. I very much look forward to working closely with young people in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Mrs. Junny Kim. Before we move forward, there was a message about the interpretation and how it wasn't clear for people, for French speakers. So let me just explain very quickly. Pour les francophones, vous pouvez accéder à la traduction en téléchargeant l'application Interprefy. Vous allez trouver en fait le lien traduction directement. J'espère que ça vous aurait aidé. This being said, and going back to what Mrs. Junny Kim said, digital space brought us together, and that's how OGP, with the co-chairmanship of Korea, has tried to strengthen civic space and democratic participation, tackle corruption, but also try and encourage digital innovation, which are three of the sub-teams of this year's Digital Youth Summit. We are very happy that the government of Korea, but also all the governments, including Canada, Taiwan, and the rest of the countries participating, have actually acknowledged the role of youth and youth leadership in bringing together the principles of OpenGov and in achieving an open government that can only be achieved if we include young people all the way. So thank you very much, Mrs. Kim, for this heartwarming acknowledgement and for the compliments that you have actually encouraged us through. Very sorry. You have actually, through which you have actually encouraged us to really be involved within the summit looking forward. Just to remind you, the Menti link is posted on the chat, so please go on Menti. Please share what you are looking forward to with us. We are so looking forward to hearing from you, and we're definitely going to go back to it later.
So at this juncture, and before we continue, we'd like to mention and thank other partners for this event. Open Government Partnership, Accountability Lab, Restless Development, and the Chanza Foundation, all of which do incredible work to support open governance around the world. Now, without further ado, we are going to launch straight into our sessions, which I'm sure is what everyone is looking forward to and excited about, which would include brainstorm sessions, Q&A panels, and skill sharing workshops. For me personally, I know that I am super excited for the session that's happening right after the opening ceremony, which is data as a tool for digital innovation, power, and limitation. And the reason why I'm excited for this is because it is going to 10 p.m. By the time the session finishes, it'll be 11, and I would like to go to bed as early as possible. So Chaimae, what session are you looking forward to?
The session I'm most looking forward to, and I mean, the title of the session has been the thing that attracted me the most, is it takes a pandemic for us to be taken seriously, youth leadership on COVID. And for me, this session speaks to all of us because youth have always tried try to prove themselves, but it actually took a pandemic for them to be acknowledged and for the role to be acknowledged by taking initiatives in all kind of areas, including disinformation, digital innovation, and so on. So I'm very much looking forward for this session, and I would love to know what you guys are looking forward to. So let's go to Menti and see what your answers were throughout the opening ceremony. So we have quite a beautiful word cloud, including young voices, meeting speakers, meeting new people, contributing, learning from others, learning new things, youth power, transparency, energy, inspiration, skill sharing, youth involvement, diversity, collectiveness, re-engagement, connections, global participation, multicultural attendance, networking, experiments, interaction, community, insight, youngest attendee, feedback lab sessions, sustainable future, skills sharing, seeing different youth towards a more open digital summit, ideas, OGP local session. It's really amazing to see how so many of you answered our question, how so many of you are excited about so much throughout the summit. And we're very, very happy and very pleased to see that. Please continue to send in your answers. By the end, we're going to have a huge word cloud that we're going to be sharing hopefully on our social media. That being said, please sign up for the sessions if you have not already on the registration page, which my colleagues will paste into the comments box. The majority of the sessions today and tomorrow will be simultaneously translated into French and Spanish, as is this session. Please bear in mind also that there are some sessions that are going to be actually in French and Spanish. So we tried actually to include all the languages and people from different backgrounds, even from diverse backgrounds. And let's go back to some quick housekeeping items before we begin.
So please participate, 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 participate. I think that's the key word here. This is a global conversation, so leave comments during the sessions, ask questions, and engage with your fellow attendees. You can find out who they are through the participant map, which will be posted in the comments box. And I'm sure you've also received an email about the participants map. So take a look at that amazing tool to learn about all the different participants and the different skills that they bring to the table. Each session will only be 45 minutes, and we will start and finish right on time, so don't be late. The 15 minutes before each session will include music and films from our partners, so feel free to stay tuned in or take a quick break and come back for your next session.
We've been hearing that we're tech savvy throughout the entire summit and summits that came before. So please do not disappoint and follow the discussions on social media and engage in the conversations around the summit there too. Follow the hashtags Digital Youth Summit and Youth Power and see what Accountability Lab, Restless Development, and OpenGov partnerships are tweeting. We're going to be sharing their handles on the chat. So please make sure to follow them. Please do spread the word. The more people we can bring into the conversation, the better. The entire summit will be live streamed on Facebook throughout the Accountability Lab Facebook page. So feel free to join through the link shared in the comments box too. Please comment, engage, share the link with other people, and make people hear about us.
And finally, I think this is the most important thing to take note of. Enjoy the summit. Enjoy the first ever OpenGov Digital Youth Summit. We are looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night after 2 action-packed days for a recap with the OGP CEO Sanjay Pradhan and co-chair Maria Baron. So don't miss it. Make sure you tune in for that very important closing ceremony.
And as promised, we are done right on time. So big up to all of us. Have fun throughout the summit, and we wish you a great Digital Youth Summit. Bye, everyone.
See you soon.
Thank you very much.